Hello there and welcome to your next history lesson. Today's history lesson is called What Was Spain's Plan to Colonize California? First of all, some vocab of the word colony. The word colony is a country or area under the full or partial political control of another country, typically a distant one, and occupied by settlers from that country. So basically it's where people from one country go to live in another country and they set up their own living space there. It's called a colony. And here's the word colony in a sentence. England sent people to live in their American colony of Jamestown. So they're English people, but they moved across the Atlantic Ocean to live in America to set up kind of like a New England there. That's what a colony is. And here's a picture of a colony here. Okay, so that's the vocab word colony. Here's the next vocab word, Catholicism. The definition is it's the largest kind of Christianity in the world that traces its roots back to Jesus and the 12 apostles. Here's the word the Catholicism in a sentence. The Catholic missionaries traveled to a distant land in order to convert people to Catholicism. And to convert someone means to try to get them to see things the same way you do, or to try to get them to be the same religion you are. And here's a picture of Catholicism. That is a priest celebrating Mass, which is how Catholics worship. Okay, here's today's lesson. Here we go. During the 1700s, different countries wanted to control parts of North America. The British were settling the northeastern coast. France was interested in the central part of the continent. No country could say it had the northwestern coast of North America. The British were starting to move towards this land. Also, Russian fur trappers started exploring the northwestern coast looking for furs. So, Jose de Galvez, I really struggle with these Spanish names, so you'll have to be patient with me. Jose de Galvez warned the King of Spain that other countries would soon be interested in California. The king ordered Galvez to create a plan to settle this land for Spain. Galvez planned an expedition into Northern California. This expedition was called the Sacred Expedition. Galvez planned to control the California coast without war. He planned to build missions or religious settlements. Spanish Catholic priests would teach the Roman Catholic faith to the California Indians. The plan was that when the Indians became Christians, they would be loyal to Spain. Galvez created a strong team of people for the Sacred Expedition. He included Spanish missionaries, soldiers, engineers, carpenters, farmhands, and translators. He also found priests who had experience explaining Christianity to American Indians and explorers who had experience traveling in uncharted North American territory. He brought American Indians who had already been converted to Christianity along as translators. Galvez used information from Sebastian Vizcaino's diary. Vizcaino explained that Monterey Bay was calm. Galvez thought it would be good for trade ships. Monterey was also far enough north to protect Spanish land. Groups would travel by land and by sea. They would meet in San Diego. Most would go on to Monterey Bay. The two groups traveling by sea were on small packed ships called the San Carlos and the San Antonio. They carried farming equipment and building materials for the new settlements. The San Carlos left for San Diego from Baja California in January of 1769, and the San Antonio followed in February. The trip was not easy. Both ships faced strong winds, and it was difficult for the crews to navigate. To navigate basically means to find your way around on the ocean when you're in a boat. So it was difficult for them to navigate. Their maps had incorrect information, and strong winds pushed them away from the coast. It took the San Antonio 54 days to arrive in San Diego, and the San Carlo 110 days. By the time the San Carlo arrived, almost everyone on board was sick. Galvez named Gaspar de Portola to be the leader of the land expedition. De Portola organized two groups to travel by land. One group started from Baja California in March of 1769, and the other left in May. One thing that made the journey very difficult was that both groups had to pass through the central desert of Baja California, which was a dry, arid land with very little access to water. By the time they reached San Diego, many people in both groups had died. On July 16, 1769, Father Junipero Serra, who had traveled with the second group, celebrated Mass in Alta California. He named the first mission San Diego de Alcala. After resting for a time in San Diego, Portola set out to find Monterey. When they reached Monterey, they didn't realize where they were because it didn't seem to them to be the place Vizcaino had described in his diary. They placed a large cross at the top of a hill and kept marching all the way to San Francisco. Once they got there, they realized their mistake and turned back. They walked all the way back to Monterey, but a supply ship that was supposed to meet them there never came, so they then walked back to San Diego. About 2 months later, Portola took a second trip to Monterey. Father Junipero Serra took the ship to San Antonio and met him there. In 1770, they founded the Second California Mission and called it San Carlos Borromeo. And that's the end of today's history lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to take the quiz attached below this video in the History Google Classroom, and I will catch you next time. Mr. Dauber, signing off.